Hello, my name is Brian Scuttle, and welcome to Sonic Cinema Podcast on YouTube. This is a quick take video, but it's a bit of a different quick take than I've done so far this year. I'm what this one's basically going to be about is it's basically going to be a summary of my movie going year in terms of the 2018 movie year for the first 4 months of the year. This is something that I used to put in written form. I kind of got away from it as I started to do the podcast, and honestly, it just I sort of lost interest in doing it. But because of the fact that I've got the Patreon, and if you're a patron, you're going to be catching this first before everybody else will. I decided to do, and because I've got the YouTube page that I'm doing videos for, I decided that this might be a good thing to bring back, but in video commentary form. And also, it kind of helps that I've gotten to quite a few movies this year. Between January and through the end of this month, I'm not really going to be able to have time to get to another one this month. I've seen a total of 29 films. Now, that's including screeners. That's including movies that people have sent me via Sonic Cinema for screen purposes to watch. And it also includes theatrical releases that I'm including for the 2018 year. There is one that I will talk about that is more of a 2017 one, but I'm considering it 2018 because of the fact that I didn't really know about it in 2017. It's not like Femme Thread or The Post, or it really got a lot of Academy Award traction, although one of the actors was nominated for a Golden Globe, and I'll tell you more about that later. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to run down the movies that I think are the best movies that I've seen all year, the movies that I've enjoyed but overall just didn't really care for. There isn't really anything this year that I've just out and out disliked. There are some movies that haven't been as good, and there were some movies that were a bit disappointing. There's still a lot of movies here that I have not yet seen. And hopefully, as the summer will go along, as the year will go along, I'll be able to catch up with more of those. And some of those you'll see sort of quick blurbs for on the Sonic Cinema mailing list. But first and foremost, my main reviews are going to be for newer releases as well as the screeners. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to start out with the 3 movies that I've seen of these 29 that I consider part of the 2018 movie season from my end as the ones that got my top grade. And you've seen the grades on the reviews, and I think one of the things I'm going to do for patrons at least is do another one of these videos where I sort of explain my reasoning for what the grades signify, why I went with the grading system that I did, and sort of the scale that I'm looking at when I make those grades. So my top 3 movies for 2018 so far. The first one is one of the first screeners that I watched in 2018. It's one I watched back in January. The filmmaker had it debuting shortly after I reviewed it, so I wanted to prioritize that one. It's a movie that's sort of it's kind of a found footage movie, but it's also sort of a docudrama. But it does fit within the realm of a found footage movie. It's called Strawberry Flavored Plastic, and I absolutely loved it. It's basically about these 2 filmmakers who are looking for an interesting subject, and they're wanting to do a simple documentary about an individual who just got out of prison and basically chronicling every bit of his life. It's sort of a little bit of a Truman Show type thing, except the person is aware of it. And and I'm sure there are other comparisons with it. But the thing that these filmmakers don't realize is that the guy that they're doing the documentary on is actually a killer. And so it becomes this morality play of how far and how complicit do these filmmakers feel, and how far do they go with uh, this subject matter before they, and how, whether it's really ethically proper for them to continue on with this. I sort of liken I sort of liken the filmmakers to the in this film to Errol Morris, the great documentarian, if he were to uh, do like Jeffrey Dahmer, and as Jeffrey Dahmer was doing what he did, or anybody like that. And I loved it. I was really gripped by it when I saw it. I think it's a movie that I think is well worth the time to watch it. I'd like to see it get a limited release. I'd like to see it get consideration for honors at some point during the year. I would like more and more people to see it, and it's strawberry flavored plastic. It's a really compelling and fascinating use of the found footage medium, or the found footage genre, the found footage idea, and it's really it's a terrific use of that. And I definitely, if you get a chance to watch it, I definitely recommend it. It's right now my top pick for the best movie I've seen so far this year. Coming in at 2 and 3, I'll lump them both together because they're both actually Marvel movies. It's Ryan Coogler's Black Panther, which came out in February, and the Russo brothers' Avengers: Infinity War. I'm going to include Infinity War in here because technically it's a summer film, but it did come out in April, so it's getting included on here. Black Panther blew me away. It is probably my choice for the best Marvel movie to date. I think when it comes to theme, when it comes to character, when it comes to storytelling, music, cinematography, everything that goes into the process of making a movie, I think it is far and away the best movie Marvel's made to date. I love the geopolitical landscape that Marvel's been building in this cinematic universe. I think Black Panther is right up there with Winter Soldier and Civil War as far as its political stances. I think it's as timely a piece of filmmaking as I think has ever come out of the major studios. Ryan Coogler and Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa, and especially Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger are all fantastic, and I cannot wait to see what Ryan Coogler hopefully will be doing for an encore for Black Panther 2. I think based on what he did here, I can't wait to see what he does next. I'm really excited about the possibilities that he has as a studio filmmaker and as a filmmaker in general. I've been a big fan of all of his features that I've watched, Fruitvale Station and Creed as well. Infinity War is definitely more of a popcorn movie than Black Panther is, but it is no less impressive an achievement considering what it basically signifies. Signifies a landmark in this 10-year experiment that Marvel has been doing with its cinematic universe. And it absolutely blew me away. It's 2.5 hours, but it feels like an hour and a half. It moves so quickly. It moves effortlessly from character group to character group. It builds to an ending that honestly it floored me when I saw it, and I can't wait to see what happens in part two or whatever they end up calling it next May. I'm really excited about the possibilities of what that movie is going to look like. And so my top three are Strawberry Flavored Plastic, which is a movie that most of you probably never heard of. Followed by two movies that you definitely have heard of in Black Panther and Avengers Infinity War. We're going to go a little bit deeper into the screening well for my number 4 and number 5 choices. And the first one is Jeremiah Kipp, who's a genre filmmaker that I've watched a few of his films over the years, and I've been intrigued by them. I think he's done some good work. He's done some work that I've admired more than I've really liked. But this one is probably my favorite of his to date, or at least one of my favorite of his. It is a horror. It's another sort of found footage movie, but it's more in keeping of what we typically think of in terms of found footage. It's called Black Wake. It's basically an apocalyptic thriller that sort of tracks the spread of a virus by way of people who are the people who are tracking it, and it's a really gripping piece of storytelling. I love the way he tells the story. I love the style he uses in the found footage. I love the way it just moves, the way it builds. And I love the ideas in it in terms of sci-fi horror. I think it's definitely going to be one of my favorite horror movies of the year, if not my favorite one. There are some good ones coming up later on in the year that I'm interested in, but Jeremiah Kipp's definitely going to make one of the best ones in Black Wake. The next one is the first short that I genuinely love this year. It's called Hell's Company, and it's basically a 3-character play that is filmed, and it takes place in an old man's house, a small home, where the old man is set upon by the local sheriff as well as a priest, and they all have a connection. I'll leave it at that. It's a really entertaining short. It's a very simple short for what it does, but it's really effective in what it does, and that's one of the things I like about it. And it's something that really entertained me when I saw it a couple weeks back. And so Hell's Company is the next film on this list. That's my top 5. If I were to go to 6, I would probably include The Leisure Seeker, which is the movie that sort of straddles between 2017 and 2018. Helen Mirren, rightfully so, got nominated for a Golden Globe for it. But I didn't really know about it and know that there was anything going on with it as far as the awards season goes. But it's Donald Sutherland and Helen Mirren. Donald Sutherland has Alzheimer's, and she's taking him on one last trip to see Ernest Hemingway's house in Key West. And it's one last trip to hopefully fulfill a wish that he had throughout his life, but also one final trip for them to spend as a couple. It's got a lot of humor, it's got a lot of drama, it's got a lot of moments that I just absolutely love, especially the moments where the Leisure Seeker is the name of the camper that they were driving in, the old camper that they were driving in. And some of my favorite moments in the film are when they're camped out at a camping site and they're watching and they're looking at old slides of their lives together, and the other people in the camping park make their way and just watch these slides, these experiences in their life with them. sometimes not even saying anything at all, not even really trying to acknowledge that they're there. And it's a wonderful movie. Watching it, I kind of wish it had gotten better traction as far as the Academy Awards. I would have loved to have seen Sutherland get nominated and Helen Mirren get nominated. But Leisure Seeker is one that I'd wanted to see for a while. I finally caught it a few weeks ago at the Terra Theater in Buckhead down here. And I'm really glad I got to see it in the theater because it's one that I'd wanted to see since I first saw the trailer earlier this year. So those are probably my top 6. I could go further with some other ones like In God We Trump, which is a documentary that a friend of mine that I did a podcast with earlier this year put me in the direction of. It's basically a documentary about the phenomenon of why evangelical Christianity in America embraced Donald Trump. There are a couple of really interesting character dramas from the same filmmaker for the Depths and Sunset that I really enjoyed, and I think both of them are really good. I think the Depths just came out in the past couple weeks on video on demand, and Sunset I believe is coming out this summer. So if you get a chance to watch either of those, they're definitely worth your time. So the movies, if there are only a handful of movies, there isn't anything that I've out and out hated this year. There are some movies I haven't been that impressed with and thought were kind of stupid. But overall, for the most part, I haven't seen anything that I overly disliked completely. There's something about these that I did kind of enjoy. So the worst films I've seen this year are Rampage with The Rock, which is dumb fun. It's just a little too dumb for my taste. Forever My Girl, which is one of those rich person rediscovers their who they are underneath when they go back to their hometown type of movies. That's just really ridiculous. The Cloverfield Paradox, which came out in the Super Bowl, I was not a fan of it. I still haven't seen. It's been a while since I've seen 10 Cloverfield Lane, and I'd want to see it again after seeing Cloverfield Paradox, but I was not a fan of Cloverfield Paradox. I think it was basically, it ruined a good and interesting sci-fi movie by trying to graft on Cloverfield. 50 Shades Freed finished the trilogy and finished the trilogy on a down note, I think. It was very perfunctory, very silly thriller. The Ritual is another Netflix movie that I saw. I liked a lot of the atmosphere in it, but overall I didn't think it was that great. And Francis Lawrence's Red Sparrow was a spy movie that was way too long. There were some things about it with Jennifer Lawrence's character that were really good in terms of her training, but overall I wasn't that big a fan of it. I was kind of bored for most of the 2.5 hours that the movie was. I'm going to wrap things up a little bit we're going to point forward to some of the summer movies, but first I kind of want to go over favorite movies, which, I don't look at as the same as best movies. Best movies are about quality. Favorite movies are about movies that I genuinely enjoy and might have a more personal connection with. Sometimes they can overlap, sometimes not. That's one of the things I'm going to go over in my book to a certain extent in one of the chapters, but for now I'm going to sort of leave you as far as the first 4 months of the year with, let's say, my top 5 favorite movies of 2018 so far. The first one is very clearly Black Panther. I absolutely still adore that movie. It's easily my favorite movie of the year. It's got the best soundtrack I've heard all year. It's the high water mark for me for Marvel, and I it's gonna be tough for anything after this to really knock it out of that category. I think something's gonna have to blow me away pretty significantly. My second favorite movie of the year is Steven Spielberg's Ready Player One, which I really enjoyed the first time I saw it and really kind of loved as an individual and as a fan of Spielberg's work, as well as in particular as a fan of his science fiction work. I think when it comes to working within that genre, there's nobody who's done it better than Spielberg has in film. And I think Ready Player One, as entertaining as it is, really fits in with the things that he tries to say and talk about when it comes to his science fiction work like AI and Minority Report and Jurassic Park, and even to a certain extent War of the Worlds when it comes to our relationship with technology. And that's part of the reason why I really love Ready Player One. It really doesn't have a lot to do with the nostalgia factor, with the 80s factor, all of that's fun window dressing, but there's definitely a lot more going on underneath that I really just appreciate about that movie. Third is probably Infinity War. It could probably supplant Ready Player One, but honestly, I love Ready Player One as as a movie experience enough to where it's going to be tough for Infinity War to top it. As great as I think Infinity War is, it's going to be tough to top Ready Player One for me, and I don't know that I'll seeing it go above Black Panther. Fourth is a little bit more personal choice for me. It's a short film from a writer-director that I've come to know over the past couple of years, Cindy Maples. I got a chance to meet her while she was actually in town doing post-production on this short film, Ebola, which she just had the debut of yesterday, actually, the 27th. I'm filming this on the 28th. And it's really an entertaining movie. It has some interesting, fun ideas in terms of comedy, in terms of horror, in terms of the way that those work. It has some interesting ideas as far as toxic masculinity and objectifying women that I think are very timely. And that's kind of a common theme with three of these four, at least, as far as Ready Player One and Black Panther. Some timely topics. So I really enjoy Ebola beyond the personal connection I feel I have with it because of the fact I got to see some of it edited together. And then fifth, it's kind of a toss-up right now. I would have to say either Black Wake or Strawberry Flavored Plastic. Those two are probably my next ones. And it sucks because there are movies on here that I haven't... I'm going to wrap it up here. That I haven't really talked about that I do really enjoy. I really liked A Quiet Place. I was really intrigued by Annihilation, Alex Garland's film. A Wrinkle in Time was entertaining. I didn't love it, but I still appreciate it for what it was trying to do. And I really like Game Night, a somewhat dark comedy about adult friends who get together for a game night. And that one just entertained me more than I expected. That's pretty much it for now. This summer, there are some movies I'm looking forward to. Deadpool 2, obviously. Solo, Incredibles 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm sure there are Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom. I'm sure there are more smaller... Who Won't You Be My Neighbor, the Mr. Rogers documentary I am really looking forward to. I can't wait to see that. Beyond that, I can't really. Hereditary, as far as horror, that's going to be a really good one from what I've heard. So, with that all being said, thank you very much. I know this was a bit longer of a quick take than usual, but with the subject matter at hand, I think it warranted the time. So, thank you very much. My name's Brian Scuttle, and thank you for continuing to join me at the Sonic Cinema podcast and at soniccinema.com.